Welcome back to Postgraduate Day, Research Week 2022. We are approaching to the final and most weighted event of the Postgraduate Day of the Research Week 2022. So, we are about to commence the panel discussion on how to become an effective researcher. So before we commence the panel discussion, let me introduce our panelists. Dr. Kishara Gunaratna is a board-certified neurologist. He underwent overseas training at the National Hospital of Neurology and Neurosurgery, London and Oxford University. He works currently as a senior lecturer in medicine and an honorary consultant neurologist at the Department of Medicine and Mental Health, Faculty of Medicine, University of Moratuwa. He is the president of the Epilepsy Association of Sri Lanka and joint secretary of the Sri Lanka Trials Registry. He serves as a member of the editorial board of the Journal of the Ceylon College of Physicians. He is currently the chairperson of the Ethics Review Committee of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Moratuwa. Sir, we are honored to have you today. Professor Rangika Halvathura holds a PhD in Structural and Building Services Engineering and BSc Engineering, first-class honors from the University of Moratuwa. He is currently attached to the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Moratuwa. He is also a visiting professor at the Peter and Grade St. Petersburg Polytechnic University, Russia. He has held many positions in local and international organizations and has served as a consultant in a large number of projects. He is currently the editor of several journals. He has won many university, Sri Lankan, and international awards, and currently holds 15 patents and 3 industrial designs. Professor Rangika Halvathura, we are so excited to have you today. Dr. Nadika Jayavira is an architect and a lecturer at the Department of Architecture, University of Moratuwa, with research focuses on sustainable materials and energy efficiency in buildings. She completed her PhD in architecture in May 2022 at the University of Moratuwa. She obtained an MPhil in environmental policy at the University of Cambridge, UK. Dr. Nadika Jayavira, we are so pleased to invite you. Thank you. Dr. Pratapa Singha Dharmavansa received the BSc and MSc degrees in Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering from the University of Moratuwa in 2003 and 2004 respectively. Technology from the Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand in 2007. He held various positions at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Aalto University and Stafford University. He is currently a senior lecturer in the Department of Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering at the University of Moratuwa. He also serves as an editor for the IEEE Wireless Communications Letters. He has won several awards and has guided students in winning prestigious international competitions. Dr. Pratapa Singha Dharmavansa, we are honored to have you as our panelist. Finally, our moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Arjun De Silva, senior lecturer attached to the Faculty of Commerce and Management Studies, University of California. His main specialization is a digital strategy, and other specializations are digital marketing, providing web-based solutions, and business modeling. He is currently a PhD student at University of Moratuwa and Deputy Webmaster of UOK and General Consultant for web revamping activities towards a smart university project. So we would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Arjun De Silva, onto the stage, and it's over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege and honor to be a part of this panel discussion as the moderator in this prestigious university, University of Moratuwa. And when you look at the panelists here, they have shown their caliber, their competence, and their skill in research. And I went through their research profiles before I accepted this invitation to moderate. Though they are so young, they have shown a lot of potential and kind of results in showcasing their research outputs to improve the body of knowledge, not only in Sri Lanka, but also in other countries. So here we do have a local panel who has international reputation. It's a great privilege to be with you, sirs and madam. Having said that, we can talk about the research and the topic how to become effective researchers here today. Now this how to become effective research is a very qualitative term, and the challenge for this panel is to make it quantitative. I'm pretty sure that this panel would help you all to construct the quantitative aspects of the qualitative term effective research. So I went through the etymology of effective and researcher, then I understood that effectiveness is a proven success. So these four are proven successful researchers in their respective research fields. And here we have drawn a scope, what to talk, what not to talk. Here we don't talk about the philosophy, we don't talk about the epistemology, ontology, because it's not directly related to the audience. And when you look at their profiles, they are into STEM, major, post-positivistic, major philosophy. So that our discussion would be rather limited to the post-positivistic paradigm of research. Okay, we can move to the technical discussion. First half of the technical discussion would be the panel's insights, panel's subjective viewpoints and the objective views on research and how to become research. Thereafter, we will have an open forum for the public, for the audience to raise questions and get the answers from the respective members of the panel. Okay, we do have a medical doctor, an architect, and Professor Halwadura, everybody knows, is a celebrity professor. It's a compliment, sir. And Professor Pratap. So whom should I start with? Can I, okay. What is research in technology and engineering paradigm?
Wow, what a question to start. I mean, it was a very open-ended question, but anyway, first of all, I think I should thank University of Moritua, the organizing committee, even though this is my university, for inviting me. Normally, I'm not really invited for university events. Anyway, thanks for inviting me for this great event. Arjun, thanks for asking that question, and I'm glad to have such a wonderful, remarkable introduction from you and also the person who started the event. Pudha, thank you very much. Well, what's the research? I mean, I don't have, sort of a big definition for research. Maybe there are definitions in book, but I'm a person who normally don't trust definitions stated in books. So I'm working freely the way I want it to be. The research is basically go and find something. It's it's you can't strictly say the research here. I mean, you have certain amount of the scope and goals in medical field, the engineering, the technology, or the sociology. So I really don't want to define it that way. And even though I was introduced you by you and that previous the comparer saying I'm into technology. I'm not really I'm not a technological guy. People talk about the sophisticated technologies. I don't believe they're all subjective. What to me, if someone asks what is technology, if you can mimic or if you can learn or understand the nature, that may be the sophisticated the part of the technology in my terms, my point of view. So if you can do something, search something, targeting a certain outcome, knowing what you are heading for, that is called research. It's bucket chemistry is no longer research. I mean, it's sort of a a starting point of a research. But if you can drive towards a certain goal, knowing where you are heading for, I call that as a research. Very simple nutshell. I hope you got the answer. Then we will be able to continue with the rest of the questions later. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Sir, now say you don't like drawing. When it comes to research, now we do have a medical doctor here, Dr. Kishar. Now what I worked with some of the medical researchers in the university, like not in the scale of researching, but in the scale of like administrative work with Professor Janaka De Silva. Like, so there, what we understood is they don't like complexity. They like simplicity. And once I heard that Professor Nilanthi De Silva was mentioning anybody can make things complicated, but only an exceptional effort and very focused effort would make something very simpler. How do you rectify this statement?
You mean justify it?
Sorry, justify. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I think all of us aspire to do, is to make something complex more simple. So to make that happen, to make things more simple, you need to go to a level where you understand all the complexities that are involved in that particular field. If it is, medicine or any other field,
Yeah.
right? You need to understand all the complexities,
Right.
and then simplify that in your own mind. That's because I don't know about the other fields, but in medicine, everything is, related to everything. There are so many like the human body, how it works, the complexities starting from the human brain. I'm a neurologist, by the way, so I deal with the brain and the spine and all the nerves that go through right up to the tip of of your fingers. How your messages go from the brain right up to the tip of your finger, from the tip of and the messages go back, back to the brain. It's such a complex route that the messages sort of follow. But it can be sort of put in a very simple way. But to put it in a very simple way where everyone understands, you need to understand the complexities. Who you quoted are really some of the great researchers that we have in Sri Lanka, and they've proven it on a day-to-day basis. I'm still not there, by the way, very truthful. But I think to go to that level of simplicity, you need to understand the complexities. And what needs to happen is you need to compartmentalize research and then bring them all together, right? And that's what makes the complex more simple. Does that answer your question?
It's like you will have to have a vast knowledge to make things simple. How do you gain this vast knowledge? The next question is that, how do you get that vast knowledge? Does reading do this?
Come again?
Reading
Yep.
only?
Reading is the first step.
Yeah.
Interdisciplinary communication.
Ah.
For example, I might know something, you might know something. Both of us have a chat. We gain that knowledge. That communication is also very important. The collaboration that we have between each other is also very important. And that actually just imagine you and I, maybe people in this room start talking to each other, exchanging ideas. Those complexities become, that much more simpler. We start to understanding each other and each other's fields, each other's spheres, and how it may relate to your field. And that's what I think science is going, in my opinion, in the direction is the fact that there is now more and more interdisciplinary collaborations between bigger disciplines, for example, engineering versus medicine, and so on and so forth. So that makes things, that much simpler.
Right, thanks. I think we have architectural, you're from architecture. It's more like qualitative and also quantitative. Now, how do you find what both is involved in architecture related to research in Sri Lanka, say modern research, like what type of things you see architectural research in Sri Lanka?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. I would like to thank the organizing chairperson for inviting. And so I think I don't have the vast experience in research as the other panelists. I recently completed my PhD studies. In terms of architecture, architecture is a very broad field. Like we sometimes call it the jack of all trades. I would like to stop it there without saying master of none, but so it's very vast. So research is also as vast as the field. But I think as a PhD student, what I learned, and as a researcher, what we actually learn is the process of how to do a research, like what are the steps you need to take a research. And then it's a matter of application of that, the steps we learn to any field we would like to research in. So I think it's 4 years of research I did as a PhD student. It's kind of a habit you pick up. You do this researching for a long time. 4 years is quite a long time to do something repeatedly. So then you pick up this habit of, your brain kind of gets the research methods hardwired, and then you try to apply it in any type of field you would like to explore. So I think in architecture, it doesn't matter even if it's a very vast field, we can apply a lot of the research methods we learn when we are doing research. And for me, it's you can study anything, like even though it's a vast field, even it's engineering or computer science, medicine, if you know how to study, it's just a matter of application of that to any field, and then you can acquire that knowledge.
Now, when it comes to Professor Alvatura's and Dr. Kishara's ideas, so you strictly didn't want to have any lines drawn in the fields. But when it comes to publications and all these research categorizations, you do have research field somehow identified. That is the formality
in journals or whatever the publication you have that way. So as a telecommunication and electronic engineering expert, how do you find multidisciplinary research work in your area of expertise? Doctor.
Hello. So are there any postgraduate students here? There are a few, right? That's good, because I think this forum is for them. Because I want to add something about research actually. Now if you look at carefully, United States National Science Foundation motto somewhere, if you browse the website carefully, you will see that nothing is more important than continuous acquisition of new knowledge for the betterment of the human society actually. So research is creation of new knowledge in a way. I mean, all the speakers are telling the same thing in different, I mean, you look at something from different facets you can see actually. So research is creating new thing. So how do you create new thing? Well, it can be new idea, it can be software piece, it can be intellectual property, it can be mathematical equation. I mean, I don't know, it can be anything actually. But at the core actually it should be a fairly new thing, and it should contribute to the body of science somehow the other actually. So that's called research actually. Now to the methodology-wise research, I would imagine that it's like, I would say what's the most important thing in research is like, okay, you learn a lot of stuff in your graduate school, you read, you listen to speakers and stuff like that. But the most important thing is to attention to details actually. That's what you make. That's the quality that it makes you a successful researcher, or probably you have competitive advantage over other people actually. Now if you look at carefully, if I give a historical example, now if you go to Anuradhapura Polonnaruwa, if you look at this Galvihara, say for instance, you go and see this Siddhartha Gautama's statues. I mean, you can see the sculpture played key role actually. I paid attention to fine details actually. His robes, all these what you call curvy lines are still preserved after 2000 or 5000, I don't know, I mean, I don't know the history, years ago. So that means he paid attention to details actually. Right now still we hail them as like, you know, national treasures and stuff like that. But if you go to other countries, and if you look at how people do research, I mean, my personal experience, I was there in Stanford University, world #1 university actually. I mean, how do they do? Research is a passion. It's not just to earn money or something like that. It's a passion. It's a passion for you, right? I mean, these professors have passion for research actually. Of course, halfway through you get accolades and stuff like that, but that's another story. But it's a passion. Now coming back to the question that you asked me, like interdisciplinary research. Now if you look at our area like telecom, one of the most booming areas in this century, I would imagine, actually engineering is applied science. If you look at carefully, the roots of engineering goes to physics, chemistry, you know, mathematics, all these basic natural sciences actually. Now on top of these pillars actually we build our core. So for instance, telecommunication theory, so if you take all the Shannon theories and stuff like that, I mean, most of the things are developed dwelling on fascinating theories from physics, or either probably mathematics. It's a combining tool actually. It's a bridging tool, it's a mathematics actually. So our area basically is an interdisciplinary area from the inception. So we use a lot of statistics, I would say. A lot of statistics we use. And we use a lot of computing power. Computational power is required for our research. It doesn't mean other people don't require them. What I mean is like, by inception, our areas are interdisciplinary. And a lot of, I would say, physics. We don't use many chemistry actually, but we use physics and a lot of mathematics, I would say, signal processing actually. And then a lot of computational power. So from the inception, from 1940s and 60s, it was developed. So this is an interdisciplinary research actually. So the most important thing in interdisciplinary research is like you want to channel the synergy from other areas, and you want to make sure that they conducively add. Otherwise, just putting people together to a group does not make it interdisciplinary research actually. And doing something trivial in one area and just give it to another area, it doesn't make interdisciplinary research either. I mean, the thing is like you should have value. You need to have value actually. The value comes from the area that you are research on. Say for instance, you are doing, say, our area research, and probably you may ask some expertise from other areas actually. I would say this biomedical research in our area, probably Dr. Sainolin and things like that. But it doesn't mean doctor, by virtue of being there, it doesn't make interdisciplinary research actually. By no means it is like that. So our area in nature interdisciplinary research, but I think all the civil engineering also interdisciplinary. I strongly believe, because it's not about construction. I mean, there are so many things, right? Allah knows better than me anyway. I mean, all the areas are more or less interdisciplinary. Right? Now, what happened is back in the day, like 10, 15 or half a century ago, actually, areas have like, they have their own rigid lines. Now boundaries are like disappearing right now, but not in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, we are very, we like the caste system. We like to keep high caste, low caste. I mean, we don't let anybody come infiltrate. But if you look at other areas, I mean, other universities, I mean, you can do interdisciplinary like thesis. I mean, thesis supervised, I mean, you are registered in this department, but thesis supervised by other department. Now, say, for example, when I was teaching in Stanford, my course was created by Department of, what you call, neurologist, and then some people from industry, say, Oracle people, and some people from Department of Education, some people economics, physicists, everybody is there. So, I mean, that interdisciplinary nature is there, because you understand the urge of understanding other allied disciplines, actually. So the short answer to your question, because I was going to tell you that, yes, communication and all these sciences are interdisciplinary in nature, and we have been working without knowing this one, because these fancy terms come into play. Without knowing that one, actually, we have been working for quite some time, but now it becomes so fancy to talk about this interdisciplinary nature of research. Thank you.
It's a very detailed and answer spot on. Well, Professor Halvatur now say, when you have research in the university academia, part of our work is researching. So it's assessed in the 916 circular as well. But it also, now I'm little bit diverting from the focus to a very narrower employment area. Here, how does that circular help to excel in research, or does it like drag your feet, the existing promotion circular? Because it's because no, it's not political, rather if you don't find.
I'll answer your point, Darshan. Thanks. Well, as he said, it's more into politics. But anyway, okay, we'll take the real sense of your question. Okay, 916. It's not really related to research, right? You have three components. It's basically covering and pointing the three areas where a lecturer should master. One is the teaching, the research, and the consultancy, or basically engaging with the industry and the community. So that covers well, but I don't know whether the ceilings given are enough or not, that I don't know. But that basically it's not about research, right? So you take a lecturer, let's say a figure, or a person, a lecturer. I don't think he should more focus on teaching or research. I mean, let's say there cannot be professors who became professors just by teaching. There cannot be professors who just be a professor just because they did research. There cannot be people who are professors by engaging with the government, or I'm not going to say they are engaging by crashing the back. That's a different story. But let's say interaction with the community and the government or the ruling party or whoever. I mean, that's another side. So a professor should be a person who has a balance between teaching, research, and the consultancy. And beyond everything, you take the 916 circular out. I personally believe, if you want to call you as a professor, I mean, I do like everybody climbing the ladder and becoming professors, not because of anything, because they can get a good salary. So we have to have a good salary at the moment, irrespective of whether they are eligible to call as professors. They should definitely go and get the professorship, because I mean, it's a good salary. From the lecturer probation to the professor, they should definitely go within the shortest period of time. We had the culture in the University of Moratu saying, okay, those who have this much of experience only, they can apply for the professor. I think I'm the person who broke that particular the myth in the university. But beyond everything, let's say if you want to call you as a professor, I believe he should be at least recognized nationally than in the university, right? Say you are known only to the university. I can't call them as professors. I mean, they should be nationally recognized. Let's say once they leave the university out of the gate, if there's no one who knows him, I don't think he can call him as a real professor, even though the title, the professor is a title, not a qualification by studying, right? So if that particular person to call as a professor, they should be known nationally, beyond the university gate. But unfortunately, many of the professors in the system, they are in their own silos. So they think they are professors, but once they leave the university, even there's not a single dog to, you know. so so there are people in the system. So I think that has to be changed. That cannot be changed by changing 916. 916 has to be there, or even you reduce the bars in 916, because all these I can see many academics and the students here. So they should climb the ladder and they should get a decent salary, because the salary is not enough. Previously it was a good salary, but now it's not good enough. So they should climb the ladder. But for them to identify them as professors, they should be nationally recognized.
Thank you very much. And there's another political question
From me? Yeah, sure.
So we do have some gray areas related to certain things, so that it's a good event for me to ask questions from you in that. Yeah, so here I talk about the GDP to R&D expenditure index, which is calculated and issued annually. And here it says 2021 world average on R&D as a percentage of GDP is 2.63. It's like when you spend 100 rupees, 2.63 is for R&D all over the place in the world. Sri Lanka in 2018, the latest figure, 0.13 earning cent when you spend 100 rupees. So other countries in our cluster are Uganda, Nigeria, Cambodia, Nicaragua, Kazakhstan, Paraguay, Uzbekistan. So how do you find doing research interesting in a country like this, and how do you break this cycle?
Well, doing research is a passion, right? I mean, if you really want to create your own brand, well, as an academic, I think you need to climb, go in that particular ladder. But
It also needs resources.
well, of course, I mean, being in a country like Sri Lanka with this basically the political setup and a slavery community with 22 million, don't expect anything other than that. I mean, if you decided to stay in this country, you have to accept it, right? You have to accept that you are in Sri Lanka and the budget. I mean, all this. Let's say, if you don't have a plan, you can't control. But all these foolish the politicians up to the university administration, they're trying to control without a plan. So we have to understand the real ground situation of the country. So you think I'm here just without knowing, without understanding that? Yes, I know and I understood the fact, but still I love to stay here, because I mean I have that particular passion, and I know I can be satisfied by being here and doing something. So to me, I don't think I'll be able to find. You stated some Uganda and all these countries. I'm lucky to luckily we are at least there, but still I don't think we should expect. I mean, any researcher who's in this audience or in this country, you should not expect anything better than this. But this is purely sort of the government is always trying to have set of beggars in the country. So for that, they will fund as much as possible. So more the beggars, you need to have more security. So put the security as number one, and then all these things from NSF, NRC, I was heading commission, inventors commission, and all these places. I mean, not to create a person with a backbone, we have always tried to break the backbone and fund them. They will never become entrepreneurs. They will never become good researchers if you keep on funding for the researchers in the country. So let them free. I mean, hands are tied in this the university system. Release them and go and ask them to do whatever possible to have their passion, have their satisfaction. So don't ever expect the government or the university or the vice chancellor or the dean or whoever to come and fund for research. No, that is not going to happen. But there are a lot of other opportunities. Arjun, I mean, internationally, there are a lot of opportunities where we can collaborate with them and get the funding for us. There are a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, we are not trying. So forget the president and all the 225 the fools in the parliament. But still, if you want to bring dollars to the country, we can be ranked as number one with respect to bringing dollars to the country. Where there are a lot of foreign the grants available, being in a third world country or much lower than that, but we are in a blessed country, not the best country, blessed with a lot of other factors like the nature and the environment, the resources. There are a lot of stuff where we can market ourselves. Being as academics, I'm not really the marketing tourism, but still we can market ourselves and we can part of the research. Big research names, and we can bring dollars. For that, I will endorse one of your statement which you put forward to Ishar. Kishar. They are from the medical faculty. Unfortunately, we are not collaborating. We are not really communicating much. So, the reading. You said how to become a good researcher. That is number one. I could say it's reading. Reading is not by reading books. You need to read yourself. You need to read your book before you start reading the Nelson Mandela. You have a book in you, right? You have to read yourself. You have to understand what are your weaknesses, what are your pluses. So if you know your pluses, and if you can pin your weaknesses, then you will be able to collaborate with the people with the weakness. Then, you have 100%, let's say you have 10%. You have 90%, and you will be able to pick people from outside. That's how the collaboration will start. Let's say being a civil engineer, I'm collaborating with another 10 civil engineers will not add much, right? If I can, I'll collaborate with an archaeologist, a sociologist, a doctor, an architect, right? An architect, then the value is really, really high. Always I say 1 + 1 is in mathematics, it's 2. It's when it comes to people, if you get the right choice, it can be millions. But if you get the wrong choice, it can be negative. That's a different story. So if you can market yourself, if you can understand, if you can read yourself properly, and if you can be an effective communicator, a listener and telling, talking is not really the language where they saying hello English, it's immaterial. But you should be able to communicate what you have in your mind by, let's say, a piece of broken brick and the bare wall. You should be able to write something and communicate to the people. So if you can do that, I'm very sure there are a lot of other opportunities in the country, in the world, across the world, where you can bring the funding. But unfortunately, still there are a lot of issues in the university system. Let's say Morocco University, very recently I was trying to get a sponsorship or a donation to the University of Morocco, but still it takes 4 months to bring the donation to the university, pass the university gate. Those are all red tapes that need to be taken out. If you can do that, I'm very sure there are a lot of other opportunities where the people can collaborate and bring stuff for Sri Lanka. We are in the best possible place, I could say, being in Sri Lanka. If you in, let's say, USA or UK, you will not be able to get these opportunities. Where you have a big vacuum, right? From the politics to the economy to, wherever you pick any topic, there's a big vacuum in the country. So the vacuum creates a good research opportunities. So I think, even though we don't have dollars, we don't have funding from the political setup, we are well off.
Told me that we have enough problems and we have enough diseases to do research. So that is one thing. Our medical research is going to the world arena. And coming back to Dr. Kishar, how do you find the resources provided by the government? Is that enough for medical science research, or is that again a bottleneck for your high quality research?
What do you think?
Well, what I think is like I have heard.
I think I don't have to answer the question. I think any of you all would say probably not, right? I agree with Professor 100% that since we are not hit rock bottom yet. There's some more to go. Just if anyone is disillusioned that we are now hit rock bottom, there's still more to go. Right? So we haven't still hit rock bottom. But once we hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go. And that's Which way? Only up. So, with regards to opportunity, I think now is the best opportunity, in my mind, for research. You wouldn't, if you're in a developed country, you don't, there's also a lot of red tape in other countries when you're doing research. Here, there might be less red tape with regards to, because there's so much of, there are so many problems to that Sri Lanka has that we need solutions. And I think one way of giving solutions would be through your research, or at least our research. With regards to funding, there's so many funding organizations, especially in who are, if you have a really good proposal, they will definitely support you, at least in my field. So there are, and you can use the current situation to sort of push your case as well, because I was able to secure some funding, saying that we are in a dire situation and so on and so forth, and they were happy to fund. So there is funding, of course, outside Sri Lanka, but it is there. It's just how, you need to also know how to pitch your work, and that's marketing. So it's always good to have a guy, a creative way of sort of putting your research question or the proposal in a way that the person outside Sri Lanka would be happy to fund. So I think we are in a dire situation, that's true, but I think that also creates a lot of opportunity, lots and lots of opportunities. And I think if to be a researcher during this period is, I think, a blessing. That's my opinion.
Now, Dr. Pratapa, when it comes to, you mentioned about the passion. It's a passion. And Professor mentioned that it's finding yourself within. What else? What else? What are the other skills you need to be an effective researcher?
Pretty hard question. It's more philosophical, because reading yourself is more philosophical. Rather, my option was not that philosophical. Well, when you talk about effective research, I think now since you pull out these values, actually, I think this is from World Bank reports, I think, because I was going through that map. Actually, we should not talk about, say, for instance, if you go home, your wife will say, "Ada sini gende salli naha." So government say, "Padi dende salli naha." I mean, sorry for Sinhala, but that's how it is. I mean, do you think when we were kids, our parents had enough money to fund us to come to this level? No. I mean, they didn't have money, but they somehow managed with what they had, right? But you have to look at how much money government has invested, say, since establishment of University of Moratu. I mean, simple exercise, right? How much money that the government had pumped for research. And what's the output? Doing research is not something in single hand. It should go hand in hand. What's the output? And if you look at the sister universities around this area, the Hong Kong Institute of Science and Technology where I worked, like 30 years old, a world rank, NUS, Nanyang Technological University. I mean, look at these guys. Some universities are pretty young, but they are world ranking. Look at us. What happened to us? It's not about money problem, actually. There's no money problem here. Even you put 1 billion here, it's not going to work. They will dissolve simply. What matters is, like, every cent, what's the return of investment that you're going to get? The government must have a lot of money, actually, here. You can't say government didn't put money. The government must have a lot of money, and people must have written so many proposals and sip out money from the system. They are criminals anyway. Sorry for telling. But they somehow get away with that one. Because I was in Senate Research SRC committee at some point, actually. Sorry for criticizing ourselves. But the truth is, like, I mean, people ask for 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 million, 7 million and stuff like that. I mean, what's the output? Say in United States of America, so if you have that kind of money, and you have to produce Q1 journals. top quality journals. I mean, here, no Q1. You know, I mean, it's very hard to push Q1 journals even in this part of the world. But upon arriving here, I learned all these categorization and all sort of nonsense, because other places, I mean, you know what's the correct thing. You exactly know where to go, you exactly know what forum to publish, but here it's like a brain, like, you bend heaven and hell together to find this kind of thing. But it doesn't make much of sense, actually. So it's not about this value. This value is just an instantaneous value. I would say 2018. I'm not polishing government, actually. I'm not just supporting government. But what I'm telling you is like, always there are hardships. As a government, research is not the only thing. I mean, you have to educate young kids, and the hospitals and all sort of stuffs are there. So
Is the public and private?
yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. What I mean is, it doesn't really matter. What matters, and you have to see why it happens. Yeah. Say, for instance, like since independence, we have been doing good work, and then we produce a lot of papers. As a result, and we are recognized. Say our economy went down, but our university is recognized. Then, as this guy said, I mean, funding will come. So you need to have critical mass. So imagine now China, Huawei companies here. I mean, Huawei lab is there in our department, university. What is that lab? I mean, sorry for telling, I mean, these are just eye-washing exercise. But look at what Huawei opened in France with Superlake. That is to create technology. But here, just for the, I can't tell publicly because I've been recorded. But this is not the way, because we don't have critical mass in this country. If you have intellectual critical mass, once you pass a threshold, actually, foreign companies will come. They will invest in research and development very easily. It's very simple. Look at France, what happened. Look at now, UK government to sanction Huawei, but they allow them to open a research lab in Cambridge. What is this dual state? There's nothing fancy here, because they understand the value. They understand the value, actually. They understand the critical mass of people there. So if we had that critical mass in this country, so 70 years after doing all sort of universities and stuff like that, I mean, would have been easy. People will come, they will look at us and say, oh, wow, these guys have quite a lot. Of course, country economy went down because of everybody blames politicians, but I don't blame them anyway, because they are part of us. Whatever we reflect, it reflects through them, because they are not coming from Mars or somewhere. They are our people. So we behave in the same way that they behave. The only thing is we are here, they are there. Now you swap it, they behave in the same way. No difference. Look at what happened here, this part of the world, the same thing. Universities, I mean, government give a lot of money. They just sip off the money from the system for nothing. What have they done? Nothing. So you had a moral responsibility. Now if you take a research grant from government, you want to make sure that you produce something, and you want to make sure it's publicly available. Now here, if you can't make thesis public available even here, I can't quite understand. In America, like if you get National Science Foundation funding, I mean, you have to make it available, NIH grants, you have to make the papers available for public interest, because that is funded by government. I mean, so you can see what we have done, the universities did nothing and asking for money. I'm not criticizing, but my point is, I mean, there are two sides even. I'm not telling, it doesn't justify spending like this amount, but you can see other factors are also playing dominant game actually here, because this is a poor country. It's not about research. It's not about research always, education, building infrastructure, and there are so many things. Of course, value is lower, okay? That I understand. I completely agree with you, but I don't think we should not talk too much about these values, because my profession is, as they say, like, you have many opportunities here. Even you, without money, you can do research. You believe me or not? Now you may ask, why do you need money? Yeah, you can do research without money. I mean, why do you need money to do research? I mean, now here, always, I ask people always say, no resource. Of course, you don't have resources. Of course, if you had all the resources, say for instance, like I import like $100 million worth, some spectroscopy or whatever you call it, something to some department, so how can you manage it? You can't manage, right? It's not about resource. It's about your passion. It's about what you want to do in your life. I mean, whether you want to earn something, some money and happy retirement, or you want to contribute something at the end of the day. Or you want to give it to monks, and monks will give to Priyamali. It's not the way. Right? That should not be the way. At the end of the day, is that what's going to happen? No, that's not to happen. This is not what you need, right? What you need is... So I would say I can't find anything other than passion, because if you go to United States, crossing Bay of Bengal, I think although I will disagree with Professor Hallathuru right now, because although we said we are known here, if you cross Bay of Bengal, no one knows us. Crossing Bay of Bengal, no one knows us. They don't know even very existence of University of Moratuwa. Why? It's because this is like a frog in the well, actually. You can be very famous in Sri Lanka, but who cares? Sri Lanka is not the domain. So if you can work with Sri Lankan rupees, it's a hard currency, so be it, that's fine. But this is not a hard currency. So you should be visible to all other top economists, top scientists. Look at other countries. All countries, they have Nobel laureates, somehow or the other. Yeah, look at Bangladesh, they have Nobel laureate. Look at Pakistan, India, China, everywhere they have Nobel laureate. What are we doing? We are tuition masters. Okay? Good tuition master. Nobel Prize for tuition, we can definitely get it. So, look, you can see what happened. There's a serious problem here, actually. So there is no passion. What I can see is there's no passion. So you don't need to, you don't need to say, this thing, that thing, government doesn't give, government. Of course, government doesn't give because it's not government, as he said. You can do research. I will say you can do research, and I showed it. Because we do, I did recently publish 2 papers in IEEE Transaction Information Theory. One of the prestigious journal, even you happen to be in America, you publish 2 transaction papers to graduate. So I did with undergraduate student here, okay? So I have 0 research, 0 grant. So 100% output. But Q1 papers, nowhere. Of course, there are people who produce Q1. But my point is like, you can produce even Q1 papers, high quality research at undergraduate even. That's what is passion. It's not about research, these are all myths. So when you don't want to do something, you find excuses. Right? If you want to do something, by hook or by crook, you do it. Okay? So the most important thing I can see is passion, because when I go to America, I have seen like this, if you go to coffee, like here, if you go to university coffee shop, they have Raja Katha, Chora Katha, Mahamatya Katha, Detis Katha, Gyanu Ganai, whatever. But there you go, what they talk about is not that. What they talk about is how to do this research problem, so what's going on there over the coffee they talk. It's fascinating, you believe me or not. You have to go there and see. So I've been to that place, so I understand that. So it's a fascinating thing, actually. People, they indulge in the research and they talk about it, and it's a passion. It's a really passion. So you are driven by passion. You are listening to somebody over the coffee. You are not listening to Raja Katha, Chora Katha, Mahamatya Katha, Detis Mahakatha. No, of course you do it. But in the university, what you do is like you listen to this kind of, you are inspired by them. So inspiration is also very important, actually, to successfully think. So you have to listen to Nobel laureates. Unfortunately, we don't have a chance to even listen to their, I would say, recorded one. But I was fortunate enough to listen to several of them when I was in other countries, actually. So you have to listen to people who are pioneers in the area. So inspiration is very important, actually. That one and inspiration. Passion and inspiration. Because you need to have a teacher always. You need to be inspired by somebody. Otherwise, you can find something and say, oh, Sri Lanka's first. I always see people say, oh, world first sometimes. It's become world first because they don't know the very existence that is there in the other country. That means you have lack of awareness. Avidya, I would say. So this is a big problem, actually. You don't know that you don't know. Okay? So these 2 things are very important, actually. Thank you.
Well, I think we kind of like moving from the Western realm of research to Eastern philosophy, like combining now. In 2,700 years ago, I think. Okay.
There's no Eastern or Western research. Research is something. Siddhartha Gautama did certain research.
Yes.
So all other religious leaders did certain research about some in their domains. Okay. So there is no Eastern or Western. So you say Eastern or Western when people are weak. Oh, we are weak. No. If you solve same equations that do the same, now these guys learn Western medicine. What kind of medicine is that? It's not. It doesn't come from Eastern.
I agree with you 100%. In this country, I'm sorry, there is this concept that science is West. There is this concept that same problem with this Dhammika Panya. I'm sorry. No, honest to God, right? I was so frustrated. They are politicians. They are strategic. That's a different story. We should understand that. But the whole Dhammika Panya was all, we as a culture, we tend to disregard science. Science is nothing to do with Western, Eastern. In the Chinese also are practicing science, right?
I don't know the bomb.
It's a different, I think, your point was different.
The forum has changed, but I was agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah, no. I just wanted
research
yes.
and the scientific.
I just wanted to talk about the evolution of this research teaching. When it comes to Indian philosophy, which was led by Gautama Buddha 2,700 years ago. First, he teaches about the research in Arya Pariyeshana Sutta Majjhima Nikaya, 26th sermon. So there he talks about the noble research to develop spirituality, which exactly what Professor mentioned, finding yourself within. So it's about finding the sixth sense. Arya Pariyeshana Sutta, 26th sermon, Majjhima Nikaya. Then at the same time, Pythagoras from ancient Greece started talking about the ontology. First time, how these world realities are connected to each nodes, social nodes and natural nodes. So after 100 years of his time, Socrates started preaching about the philosophy. Thereafter, his vision was taken by Aristotle and created this epistemology, theory of knowledge. So that is what I wanted to highlight here about how the philosophies develop in the Western world and East. There is no science in Western science, so as Doctor and both of you mentioned, no science, West science, no East science, both are like common science, but the evolution happens that way. That's what I wanted to tell you. Now, what we got from this point is like serious passion leads you to do good research. And also a good teacher. Both of you mentioned about a teacher. Now, can you be a good researcher without inspiration and a proper teacher? Are you the disciple? And how do you find a proper teacher? Can I come back, please?
Well,
Teacher-disciple relationship in
yeah,
research?
teacher and research, I personally believe those are two different body ends. I don't think good, I mean, to become a good researcher, you don't have to be a good researcher. To become a good teacher, you don't have to be a good researcher. But if you take, I mean, you have to understand the difference between the teacher and a lecturer. Teacher, they always disseminate. The schools, we have teachers. But when it comes to university, we don't have teachers, we have lecturers. So when you try to compare the lecturer and the teacher, then you will get that particular the misconceptions. So the lecturer, they should create the knowledge and disseminate. So, but for teaching, you don't have to be a researcher. They are basically getting the knowledge, and let's say all the tuition masters, as Pratap stated, I mean, they are good teachers, but they're not lecturers. They're not creating stuff. They get the stuff and they know how to deliver it well. So that's very much important to become a good lecturer, especially at least in Sri Lankan context, because we are more into the content-based education. It's not really don't argue with me, the West or the East, but you go to the Western countries, it's more into the problem posing or the inquiry-based education. But in our case, it's all the content. We, from the first second to the last second, we are trying our level best to give the content, not to share the experiences. If I recall, the lecturers, when I was the undergrad in this university, I can't remember sometimes even a single thing which was taught by these lecturers, but still I can remember them with the experience they shared with us, right? So they created their own brands. Say Professor Chandakirti, maybe you don't know, but they are real big the brands in the, wow, see? Some way or the other we are connected. Anyway, so like, I mean, we have brands, but unfortunately, I mean, we can't call them as good lecturers. Professor Chandaki is not a good teacher, to tell you. But he is a good lecturer. He's a good lecturer. And he has his own, brand. So he created his own brand. So let's say even when I say Professor Chandakirti, those who know Professor Chandakirti, they may have drawn their sketch. It's a pure sketch, right? It's a very, very unique sketch of Professor Chandakirti. Like that, there are even Professor Lucas and all these fields, we have brands. So we marketed them, and it's not really copying. I never copied Professor Chandakirti. I never copied any lecturer in this particular university, but I started learning them. I started reading them. Copying is a very must, it's a very good lesson for any researcher. If they want to climb the ladder, the copying is number one, I could say. Copying is not like, copying and pasting. That is in the computer, Control C and Control V. Copying is very much important. You copy, put it here, and then apply with your creativity. But that is not in Sri Lanka. With many of our academics, One is we don't have good role models in the system. Even though we have good role models, they are not really put forward. Right? They are not put forward. They were, I mean, within the system, they were shaded. They're outside the screen. Maybe they are known to the other university, maybe known to the country, maybe outside the country, but still they have taken out. Pratap was talking about the Nobel laureate. I mean, I also get the opportunity of hearing a few of them when I was in Japan. But let's say we don't have, okay, just because we don't have a Nobel laureate, we should not be feel sad, because we have people, even though they didn't get the Nobel prizes. Are we really promoting them? Are we really put them forward and say, oh, see, I mean, these you can learn something from them? We don't do that. Maybe political, maybe external politics, maybe internal politics. They were kept out. So that is the issue in the system. I mean, you were talking about the numbers. I mean, you take these numbers out. We have about 7,000 academics in the state university system. You count number of, I too agree with Pratap. I mean, you will not be able to grade the research based on the Q ranking, but let's say the Q1 or the ACI or the social cited index publications. You count how many publications are happening per year. You divide that by the number of the academics in the system. You feel shame on being in Sri Lanka, right? So it's not the amount you get, but the amount you deliver. If you can't, being as a university committee, if you can't deliver beyond what you get, I mean, that's a serious issue. It can be, it is possible in a developed country, but in a developing country, being in the state system, if you get 100 rupees, if you can't produce 101 rupees, you should be thrown out. You should be definitely thrown out. But many of the academics in the system currently, they get 200 but deliver about 1 or 2 rupees back. Not even 99, not even 199, right? They deliver about 2 rupees. If you can find a day, if you can change the entire university academics, not the teachers, convert these teachers to university academics or lecturers and force them to deliver 101 rupees while they earn 100 rupees, then the day we will be able to talk about these numbers.
Being published and or perish.
I want to add something. Actually, that's a good point. What I believe is like if you go to United States system, I'm just trying to take example from there because these are proven systems actually. Now, you don't give jobs to people. Academics can't get job. You are assistant professor for 5 to 6 years, and then your tenure is assessed. You may be fired, or you may be hired. But in contrast, Sri Lanka, I mean, job is given for your life anyway. Lifetime job. So, I mean, why should you work? I mean, if you're intelligent enough, you should not work. I mean, you get a job here and get some salary and go outside and do a tuition card. Can I will you happily live after? I mean, why should? I mean, even you publish, or even you don't publish, you are paid the same amount. Why do you publish then? Very simple logic, right? I mean, it's a very simple logic. I don't think you need to have a very deep discussions on these matters. I mean, it's not going to work. This is not going to work actually. This system is this is going to perish. Whether we like it or not, it's going to perish. That's what we can see. Gokkola now. It's not going to work actually. Because of that system actually, because there is no incentive for doing correct things actually, good things. And people try to somehow go around the main target and do all sort of nonsense things actually here. This part of the only here I have seen, I can't believe my eyes actually once I come here. I mean, people do all sort of tricky things and, pay money and publish in journals and all sort of tricky things. Once I come here, I have seen this kind of stuff. Other places actually, I mean, since you cite Siddhartha Gautama, I would cite his Dhammapad, they say asare saramatino sare chasar dasna saran nadi gacchanti micha sankappa gochara. In simple, if you follow feces, bad habit, you get feces. That's what we are entertaining right now. Because if you go to the core, actually our core is wrong. I mean, I don't believe in this country they appreciate science. No, this country is there. No, you cross the boundary and go to India. I mean, they had their own scientists. Okay, they had their own scientists and they are world famous people. And if you go to China, it's wonderful. They have a lot of scientists actually. Now, here we don't have scientific culture first and foremost, whether we like it or not actually. But we have to somehow institutionalize that culture. Whether universities could do it. Last 50 years, no, university produced a lot of tuition masters. And self-proclaimed leaders, self-proclaimed. Within Bay of Bengal, they are famous. But when you cross Bay of Bengal, Hirududu Kado Pennyawagi, that's gone. This is what university system did actually. It's because you promote wrong things. I mean, he's correct. They are not promoting the correct thing actually. They are promoting all this wrong thing. When you wrong thing promote, and now you see everything collapse, I mean, you can't help. Because because it's called mathematical, you call contradiction. Once you meet contradiction, you have to go and change your assumption. Now, you are not changing assumption, and system change, you are doing adjusting parameters. Not going to work. Because, again, that's Siddhartha Gautama says, Tratra Tratrabhinandani Sayyatidam Kamatanna Bhavatanna Vibhavatanna. You are coming again and again and again to the same system. Right? You have no choice as long as you have that defect with you, right? The same way, actually. Same way. So we are in a vicious cycle. We are in a vicious cycle, actually. I think adding what Professor Halathura said, actually, what I'm being is like a good teacher. It's like inspiration is very important, actually. Nowadays, when we were learning, actually, you don't have a chance to listen to these courses or professors other countries. But right now, things are open. Right now, things are open. Like now, I can take good courses in whatever biomedical or some courses. Just go there at your fingertip, you hit a key, and then you are in now. But like 15, I don't know, like 10, 20 years ago, that's not the idea. This is like sacred thing. Now, right now, they are open. But are we we utilizing this? Are we capitalizing on this thing and doing something? But I can't see right now anything. Right now, we can't see anything. But look at one point I want to say. Now, our lecturers, now other countries, usually we go to their web pages and download their lecture notes and everything, right? Because that's publicly available, right? Now, how many of our lecture notes are publicly available? Yeah, you think carefully. Because checks and balances are not there. You are afraid to release them. But other people know, they wholesale release. I say, we download kale metani. Of course, we are benefited. But the system is bleeding. If we are benefited, we should give it back. Because then the system is not bleeding, right? So how many of us can make it available publicly? I'm leaving question. How many of us can do it? Because we are largely benefited through Western scholars, slides, notes, books and everything. How many of us can make it available publicly as a Sri Lankan, taxpayers' money, earning from taxpayers' money? So these are questions actually. I just want to add this one.
It is one of the key things in research, I think. When it comes to Q1, Q2, again, they focus on the originality very much. Okay.
Low standard. We don't have to. Just keep the standard here. Now, say Americans wanted to go to moon. They didn't say, "Ayyo, mandata yandawe apiya udata poddak gihilla." No, you keep it to moon. Then you go to moon. After that, you keep away from the moon. Now in Sri Lanka, they say, "Ayyo, amarui. Tunatiyari dena api meko hitariya." No, that's not going to work. So Q1, if you can't do, that's fine. Keep it at this place. But Siddhartha Gautama did. He checked. Okay, I attend Buddhahood. Now, who's my teacher? There is nobody in the three realm. Okay, I put my Dhamma as a teacher. Yeah, he even put it. Why can't we do it? There should be grand target for everyone, even university or something. If you lower the target, so that civilization collapse actually. It's not going to work.
It's very valid point for the university like University of Morocco, who has a research culture right at the moment. But when you look at the other state universities and the private universities, they are struggling to at least enter the Q4, Q3, most of the universities, except for the top 6. So I think this, since this forum is very limited to these premises, I think we can talk about the Q1. Okay, but you go out and talk about Q1, it's a different thing because...
I also agree with Professor Pratap Singh. Okay, doctor. I think we tend to lower the standard when it comes to research. I mean, I'm also a lecturer here, so I know we should encourage publication in good journals, and there's this belief that we can't do it. So always the standard for research is always very low, especially in our faculty. So because we lower the bar because we think we can't do it. But actually we can do it. So I have published. There are several lecturers who have published, but there is no, because the bar is constantly lowered and it's getting lowered with each subsequent year, I would say. Yeah. So I think we should just keep it at the top and try to get there. And if we're failing, aim for the stars and land on the moon.
Yeah, even the President's Award, 1.5 impact factor, you get a President's Award.
It's true.
What rubbish is that?
Well, so now
absolute rubbish.
Nowhere people give you publish in top class like 30, 40 impact factor. I mean, President will not intervene this one because you are supposed to do it. President should not appreciate you because you are supposed to do these things. That's your job. Now, this country, if you do your job, they give you incentive. Wow. I never seen this country. I mean, your part is research and teaching, right?
But
I mean,
flow level, standard, no?
yeah, I mean,
1.5, for God's sake.
what happened is actually we deviate from solemn goals and we make our goals very day-to-day life, pay as you move, pay as you go, they say, like that, and that systematically deteriorated our culture. Now, quality culture is gone. I want to mention one point here. Quality culture is very important because I was reading Harvard Business Review at some point. The quality is one thing, quality culture is one thing. Now, people are trained for 5 years, 7 years, and 8 years, and everything, and they learn everything, but when they try to do, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
But quality culture is, once you're part of the quality culture, actually, when you try to do something, that force comes to you. Oh my goodness, this is not the way I should do it. Even you place a book, even you write an email, everything is there. You can see, this guy is pretty good, he pay attention to details actually. The quality culture is not there in Sri Lanka. They somehow or the other, hook or by crook, we say, you get it done, but you don't pay attention whether the output is whether high quality or low quality. Now, when you are living in this society for quite some time, ultimately you adjust your parameters to that lowest threshold. And then you are very happy with this threshold. And if you cannot even meet that lowest threshold, what you do is you create your own research journal. Now I have seen Morato is going to create their own research journal. I heard it actually. I don't know if that's true or false. Now, why can't you publish in other top forums? I mean, it's crazy. Now, Siddhartha Gautama, he was walking along Ganges, and then he went to several teachers. He learned, and teacher said, "Why don't you stay and take this goal?" He said, "No, I don't want to stay in this goal because I want to achieve something in my life." He didn't start teaching. So I mean, these are crazy things. You should keep the top goals uncontaminated, and you should push them towards that. But halfway through, you say, "Oh, that is too hard. Oh, no, I don't want to do like that. We are satisfied with this thing." So these are self-inflicted wounds, I would say. When you self-inflict wounds will damage you more than wounds from enemies, actually. So once you have self-inflicted wounds, you are going to die. Slowly you die, slowly you bleed, and you don't understand, and you die. Because you have passion for self-infliction. This is a terribly bad thing, actually. So we need to make sure our goals are there, crystal clear goals. And as a nation, you should go there. You want to make sure that our, engineering faculty should produce like this. You should come to rank among departments, like blah, blah, blah. But, of course, halfway through, probably you don't have resources and everything, but you can have assessment, right? Now, adding one thing about this Q1 and Q2, actually, now there's a huge uproar in the Western society saying that don't assess the quality of research using these indices.
Yeah.
So there's a forum called DORA, D-O-R-A, actually San Francisco based. What they do is signatories agree not to evaluate solely on these values, actually, H indices or whatever they call indices, because indices can be manipulated.
Yeah, that's true.
Indices can be easily manipulated. But
let's cooperate again.
yes, exactly. It's corporate. The thing is like, how do you calculate this H index? How do you evaluate a journal impact factor? Well, it's not scientific at all. The company will not release publicly the data set that they use. So we are like blind leading blind. I mean, they give value and we just have blind faith on the values. Because they are in a business. I'm not criticizing them, but I'm telling you, everything has something like that. But before we go to that level, actually, we should first make sure that our researchers are on par with the Western values, actually. It's not we bow to Western countries, but if you want to tame them, first you have to show that you are as good as themselves. Otherwise, always we are depending on Sahanadara. Every day you come and say women in what you call violence against women some money, sexual harassment some money, and you're empowering women some money. So you get that dollars and say, wow, we got dollars. No. That is the worst thing can happen. You should get dollars or whatever for technological advancement. This is a completely different thing. These guys say we have to pitch, actually. So we know successfully how to pitch. We can capitalize on our agonies and earn money. We know it, actually. For 50 years we have done it, 70 years, actually. But no longer that's going to work, actually. So we need to create critical mass of people, and through that we want to convince other people, look, we have critical mass of people, engineers, so I don't know, medical profession or whatever profession, doesn't really matter. And we are on the par with Western things, and they from their lens, they see, there's a university called University of Morato, wow. These guys are countries, bankrupted, but this guy's intellectual capacity is very high. So now what happened to us is countries bankrupted, intellectual capacity also bankrupted. I don't know, it's a rare event. I mean, if you believe that they are independent, even probabilistically, actually, it's a very low probability, but it happens for some reason. Okay, I don't know why. We have to think about
Since
it.
we have been talking about the Q1 and Q2, now when it comes to the institute levels, highest Q1 publications are from University of Colombo, then Peradeniya, Canada, Jayawardhanapura, Wayamba, and Moratorium. I think that is what he is mentioning. Because most
Then
of
why
the
did you
papers-
say Moratua is doing best and we are at the
No,
top
no,
level?
y'all are publishing more than 600 Scopus papers per annum, which is,
There's a reason, because we don't have all faculties actually. Because Colombo
yeah, medical, with the medicine.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling.
Medicine is contributing.
And
Jayawardhanapura.
PGIM.
Now don't put
PGIM.
pressure on them.
Yeah. No. PGIM is also contributing a lot.
That's why we are here, by the way. Right.
PGIM, yes, Colombo is on coming top because of the PGIM.
When you look at number of publications, you have to see
Yeah.
how easy it is to get a publication in certain areas. In certain areas, it's
Yeah.
hard. There are certain areas.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
Say for
So
example.
it's-
You cannot
yes,
simply, that's
Yeah.
what I'm telling you, cannot simply look at the numbers.
that's true.
You cannot simply look at the numbers.
We'll have to analyze it.
Yeah.
Very true.
You can't go by the H index as well, because again, like as you said, it depends on the field, the number of people who are, number of researchers. Yeah, if you have a very small research community, the H index can be, it's different from say a larger community.
That's true. Now, what I mentioned is like Katubed has number of more than 600 Scopus publications coming per annum. Scopus, I mean, most are from IEEE Q3 and Q4. Yes, I think Q is
All
subsidiary
IEEE are
of
Scopus, yes.
LCV.
Even if I start journal today, it will go to Scopus. I'm 100% clear after some time, and then probably that's why.
I
I
think
think
it's
we should not count this. Scopus is, I mean,
well, it's one company. Simago is a subsidiary of Scopus. So all these are one company. And the other company, computer company, is the Clarivate Analytics.
students are here. They should learn one thing, not about this value. You
Yeah.
should know where to publish exactly. You should know exactly.
I think our next point is
Because otherwise they
that
will be distracted. They will do this number crunching game. Okay, this one, and they crunch numbers and come and say, sir, once you add them together, it is more than Q1. So I have. Yeah, right. I'm not promoting that. What I'm telling you is like they have a list, national list, and easily you can say go and say, this is one of the most important journals. But definitely that is not some journal comes from China or somewhere in Uganda or something. No, they are well-known, well-known journal, well-established journals actually. So people know the benchmark. Now, if you don't benchmark your research, that's one of the most important thing. If you don't benchmark, again you feel like you are expert in the area, but you have to benchmark against some others actually. Okay,
Yeah.
so actually we should adapt something like that, I believe. Since it's moving that way.
well, I think we had been discussing the background of the research and the administrative bottlenecks, all the red tapes so far. And we have early career researchers and PG students here. So do you have anything for them to take home message, like a checklist of what to do to become effective researchers? Can we start from Professor?
Well, I personally, I always value this, the personal satisfaction, right? I mean, all these, the researchers, even there are two, good researchers who are now, working as lecturers, who sitting here. So happy to have them also here. Well, I always encourage, my experience, my personal experience and what I was doing with my research students, I always, let's say they have their mainstream research, and I always ask them to find a non-related topic as a fun research. So that again lead to a publication, maybe a good, I'm reluctant to say Q1 or Q2 or whatever the indices, but that can be lead to another, but it's not really targeting a research, but for them to release their mind, the stress, because it's working in a Sri Lankan university and doing a research is really, really stressful with all the other aspects in and out, was, motivating and demotivating them in various ways. So I always ask them, okay, you try to focus on your research and always at the same time have something else. And if you want to become a good researcher, I personally believe he or she should be a balanced person. academically, personally, let's say physically, mentally. So he should have to have that, she should have to have that particular balance in their life. I mean, I'm not really asking them to go and play in national or international, but at least doing some sports is good for them, right? Have a fun life. I mean, don't ever strictly say that I'm a researcher. I'm very. I mean, you don't try to show that you are. There are. I mean, say when you go when you become a good. When you become a professor, sometimes you don't. I mean, you are trying to create some sort of a figure. So don't stick to that setup. Have your free mind always be free, always try to move with people. Have the fun part always with you. If you have the fun part, I'm very sure this index publication or going to the international level is really nothing. You have to enjoy yourself, you have to have your satisfaction. If you have that, make research as your part-time action. Don't put it as the mainstream thing. The rest will automatically come.
Right, thanks. Dr. Kishar, one thing we forgot to ask about is the research ethics, because these guys should submit the ethic review statement. So what is this process and how important is this?
I can't talk about other spheres. Yeah, ethics with regards to human beings, yes. So if the research involves something that involves humans, then of course it has to go through a ethics process or an ethics review committee, if that's what you're asking
yes.
me. And an ethics committee in any of the reputed universities would be adequate. And if you are publishing in reputed journals, they will require ethics review committee approval. And you need to submit it to the journal as well. So as long as it involves or your even very mundane sort of what you would think as things that might not harm someone might not be so. For example, you might even a small questionnaire. You just want to find out a perception of something. That's also research, by the way. You might actually discriminate against a community, or discriminate between males and females and so on and so forth, or cause a lot of psychological harm. So that assessment is up to the ethics committee, and it's always a good idea to actually put if it is involving humans, to actually go through an ethics review committee and get ethics approval. Because if you're going for a reputed journal, at least in our setup, you will need ethics review. And if it's an interventional study, of course, it's absolutely mandatory. And in this country, I'm also the secretary for the trials registry. It's in the public domain. All interventional studies on human beings, whether it be pharmacological or pharmaceutical products, or even device-related products, they need to be registered in the National Trials Registry if it is done in this country, and it is an act of parliament. So you need to do that.
Well, thanks. Radhika, final word for the students.
I agree with what Professor Halmathura said. I mean, it's the passion that drives the research at the end, because you're doing research for 4 years. And I think a special word of advice for the women who are researchers here. And there is, I would say there is no good time for you to start your PhD or your research studies, because it will anyway clash with your, family life. Because at any stage, even when you're starting in your 20s, then you have to start a family, and in your 30s, you already have your children, and then, so there is never a good time. The best time to start your research, to start your postgraduate studies is now. right? So when I started my PhD research, my third baby was only 4 months old. So it took me a long time to finish my research. It took 4 years. Normally, I think you can do it in around 3 years, but with the family commitments, it took longer than I expected. But I am very passionate about research, and I love researching. I love writing journal articles, and you know, I know most people would not say that they love writing journal articles, but I do. I find it almost as if it's like you're trying to tell a story when you're writing a journal article. And I personally always try to publish in top journals because that is my only target, right? I wouldn't know to write any other way. Research is a passion. So I would say it's not for everyone. But if you're passionate, you can be a good researcher in Sri Lanka, like the panel explained. There is opportunity, and there is funding if you want to find it. So we are currently doing some interesting research on bamboo as a construction material in our faculty. So there is, there's always work.
Right, thanks. And
Thank you.
Final question would be from Dr. Pratap. Now, we talked about the passion in doing research and the skills and the publication portfolio a researcher should maintain. What is the final outcome of a research? Is that the publication? Are you stopping from the publication, or are you going to put it, implement related to public policy towards national development or international development or knowledge creation? What is it?
Thank you. Since students are here, I mean, this national development topic has been well abused thing in Sri Lanka. I mean, if you look at last couple now, I mean, it has been well abused. You look at always national development. We have been telling this business for I think 70 years, and there is no national development. Obviously, we are bankrupted now. In the name of national development, how many proposals must have been written? How much funding must have been disbursed? How many findings must have been, discussed? All these are fake, charade. Okay, I'll tell you one thing since we talk about ethics actually. Now, research students, remember there are 3 R's in research: reproducibility, reliability, and replicability. These are very important things actually. Right now, I was listening to ACM, Association of, I think there's a community called ACM, Computer Scientist. Exactly, Computer Machinery Prestigious Forum. So they were questioning actually, their one speaker actually is Emmanuel Candice from Stanford Statistics. He was giving a plenary speak, so I was listening to him. And he said like that, most of the studies, research study reported in Nature and this kind of very prestigious journals, only 25% could be reproducible. And replicability is even lower than that.
There is a reason for that. That is because most journals will not publish a follow-up study that does the same methodology to see whether it's actually reproducible or not. There is the politics in the journals.
That is journal policy.
So they should be also aware.
So because of that, so reproducibility, replicability, and reliability, these are very important things actually. Reproducibility means whether the same result can be reproduced with the given data. Replicability is can you run the same experiment but get another data set whether it is consistent with what they has found. And reliability is, well, everybody understand how reliable your data is actually. So these 3 things are very important actually. So as a student, what should you do? You should work. Why do I say like that? There's no hidden formula. You cross the boundaries and go to the United States. Work. That's the only solution. Now I say I work with Chinese students and Sri Lankan students. If you ask Sri Lankan to do something, do it. They say, sir, hetar, sir, makul gedara kyana sir, ayyo, it's a disaster. But you give it to you give it to that student, he will not sleep at night. Tomorrow morning he says, sir, this is the answer. You see, this is the difference. I mean, this culture, research culture should be instilled first. And how many of the department, Western world department, weekly they have research seminar. But I think this is a strange thing in this part of the world. They have research seminar weekly in their respective department. You always invite researchers from other, countries, other domains. As he said, it's good to know other domains. But it's good to know other domains from experts, not by pseudo-experts, right? It's good to know structural engineering from somebody who knows structural engineering like him, but not somebody, who has, like kind of shady background and stuff like that and come and talk. That's a complete disaster. But Sri Lanka, it happens always. Sri Lanka, more often experts come and say they have no whatsoever expertise. No, I don't go to these talks and I just look at profile, I understand 5 minutes, I know this guy know nothing. But Sri Lankan people are very happy. The speaker knows that, the audience knows he doesn't know, the audience knows that this guy doesn't know, but anyway they are all happy. But other countries, no, they will ask questions. So, excuse me, I don't think you are correct. You decimate him. Okay, you decimate. So this is called checks and balances. I mean, you should not always respect people. I mean, it's not the basic idea here, okay? It's not the basic idea. So I just want to say, students like three R's are very important, because without that, actually, you are doing research means you are in your own sphere. Probably you are a genius in your own sphere. But at the moment you compare with other people, you are no one. But it should not happen, actually. Okay. So about this ultimate goal, actually, I would imagine that there is no ultimate goal, because if there's ultimate goal, that's terminated. There's no ultimate goal here. So once you successfully do something and you acquire certain skills, and it's like a lifelong learning, you will see more things actually yet to come. Okay? So then you move forward. So I can remember once I went to meet Professor Ray Vijayawardena, once our chancellor actually. He was asking, he's discussing, he said, those days we were undergraduate students, he said, Pratap, if you go through a certain arc, you see so many arches actually. And you go through them, you can see so many. This education and research is like that, he said. So go through this one, you see so many things. And then you go through, you see so many things. If you have passion, you are driven by passion, then there is no ending. Because research, there is no end. It's a passion. So you contribute to the body of knowledge because you get something and then you contribute. And it works mutually, actually. So as a student, you should understand, don't try to find easy paths. Some people think there are easy ways of writing papers. There are easy ways to do research. If you go to a newspaper advertisement, there are advertisements saying that we write to a thesis even in Sri Lanka. There are companies who write thesis on behalf of you. So then the thesis committee looks like jokers. So thesis committee would become jokers ultimately. Okay? So so there are things like that in this country. So don't do things in an easy way, just do the hard way. Because unless you look at most of the people, you look at how all the religious leaders, they didn't achieve anything easy way. Some people spare their life, whereas some people, endanger their life, achieving the truth. The same way research. If you want to do good thing, you see product today, Apple iPhone or something. But it's like, how many human hours do you think? We don't know how many human hours they must have spent. But you see, end product is very beautiful, elegant, right? The same way. You have to put the effort. You have to pay attention to details. And there is no secret formula. Work, work, work. That's what I know. That's what I did. And that's what other people are doing anyway. That's why Sri Lanka is not doing very good, because we don't work, we take holidays.
We take a lot of shortcuts.
Yeah. So we take holidays. As a result, now we are bankrupted. So in the future, again, the same thing will happen unless we change our game. So that's pretty much my answer to a student.
It's a wonderful discussion and a lot of things to learn for me as a moderator. And do we have any questions from the audience? We can have 3 questions maximum because we are running out of time.
Sri Lanka people don't ask questions. So if you go to any other country and give a lecture, there are always kids' hands up like this. Professor, I have a question. But here, even you lie, they believe. Even you tell the truth, they believe. Even you don't tell anything, they still believe you are teacher very good.
That is because of the tutories. Unfortunately, we do not the curious mind, right? The research is based on curiosity. If you're not a curious person, research is not for you.
Yeah.
So I think that is the issue, and also critical thinking. How those are sort of skills that we need to inculcate in all.
Well, I think we can wrap up the session if you don't have any questions. And I should thank all the panel members who shared their very insightful thoughts with the audience. And I should thank Professor Aditya Alvis also, because I can remember he has been helping us, the University of Kelaniya, to improve its research. We had been, he has conducted many sessions for the academics and the research staff and the professors, including professors, to improve the publication quality. As the director of COSTI those days, And as now he is here, thank you very much, sir. I can remember your contribution those days. And uh, thank you very much for inviting me as the moderator here. And we can wrap up the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful panel discussion, and we are grateful to have our moderator, Mr. Arjun De Silva, and our panelists, Dr. Krishan Gunaratna, Professor Rangika Halvathura, Dr. Nadika Jayavira, and Dr. Pratap Singh Dharmavansa as our resource persons. And I believe that was a really interesting and eye-opener for the University of Moratuwa in terms of researching, and will be a turning point for the university research career. So before we conclude our panel discussion, so it is our duty and responsibility to appreciate our panelists and the moderator. So to present the token of appreciation, I honorably invite the member of the organizing committee, Dr. Nayani Gunawardana, to present the token of appreciations. And also I would like to invite our panel discussion moderator, Mr. Arjun De Silva. Please accept our token of appreciation. Next, I would, Madam, please remain on stage. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Kishan Gunratna, our panelist, our resource person, to accept the token of appreciation. Next, I would like to invite Professor Rangika Halvathura for being a resource person and wonderful discussion. Then I would like to invite Dr. Nadika Jayavira for being a panelist today. Finally, I would like to invite Dr. Pratap Singh Dharmavansa for that energetic discussion that we are having today. Thank you, Madam. So with that, we are about to conclude the postgraduate day of the Research Week 2022. Before we conclude, I would like to thank our invited guests, delegates, and the competitors of the 3MT thesis competition, and also our exciting audience who are present today from morning till the end, and also for the energetic discussion that we are having at the end of the session, and it will be beneficial for our research journey in terms of University of Moratuwa. So as we are concluding, I would like to invite all of you to our audience to be part and witness the Research Week 2022 will be held till 9th December, and it will be a great event for you and experience, and come and join with us to have knowledge and share experience. Thank you all, and have a great week ahead. Thank you.